Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive on some patch notes. That's right, there's a new update next Monday. That was news to me. Woke up yesterday, got a note. There's some patch notes in the old inbox of the email. I'm like, what? There's an update coming up? That's right, next Monday. Before we dive into that, though, want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for all you guys, all the viewers of the channel, the support you've given me. Makes running the channel a lot of fun, so thank you guys very much. But let's do the old deep dive. December update, Dragon's Breath is the name of it. Shorter update, this one's for 3 weeks like the previous one. So that's where the confusion lied, because previously the updates have always kind of coincided with the length of the campaign. And of course we're in the middle of a 6-week campaign here, so I was expecting one final update at the end of the year. I must have just misread the patch notes from last time. Now we got another dose of content while the ongoing campaign continues. We still got the tier 7 mines at the end. We got the tier 4 French destroyer Sirocco at the midpoint. Both of those nice ships. You can check out the reviews on the channel if you haven't seen those yet. But definitely worth pursuing. Now it actually says you can it says you can catch up if you haven't started the campaign yet. So I don't know. Apparently these weekly missions aren't disappearing after each week anymore. I've always gotten them done, but maybe you don't, previously I know if you didn't finish the missions, they would be gone, come Monday morning when the update, the week cycled through again. Maybe that's not the case anymore. All right, well, what's new in this update? Pan-Asian Navy arrives in full force. Emphasis on the Pan-Asian destroyers. I'm going to skip ahead to the ship description first here, and then we'll take a look at the commanders, which are listed earlier in the patch notes. But it says, new line brings a new mechanic. Deep water torpedoes that can only hit ships with deeper drafts. Basically meaning everything but destroyers. You hit a cruiser, battleship, carrier, boom, damage. Destroyer just sails right under it. Okay, so they're kind of deeper in the water, and of course the destroyers are these little mini ships, I guess, running around, so they go right under them. All right. So it says they can inflict heavy damage and are great at flooding any hulls that they can hit. What's interesting about the line is that the tier 6 Gajimata and tier 7 Xianyang, I'm going to butcher a lot of names and ship names in this. You're just going to have to forgive me. I just don't know how to pronounce a lot of this stuff. But yeah, that's going to change. Okay, so we can trade, or we can't trade in. The smoke generators straight up are traded in for radars on these. So apparently no smoke on the tier 6 and 7, but we got radars. Okay, so very interesting. Similar to the Orkan, which is already out there, the old European destroyer, which is an interesting playstyle. I think it's a little bit easier to run in divisions, but I do like to play it as a solo player as well. I think it's interesting. All right, jumping back into the line. It starts with tier 1 Xi'an, which it says is effectively an American cruiser Chester. I don't know what the Chester is. Is that one of the goofball... excuse me, the tier 2 goofballers? Maybe it is. Maybe there's already a Chester in the game that I can't remember. And then it says it peaks with the tier 7 Xianyang again. 2 new commanders, Sa Zhenbing and Deng Shichang. Now, Sa Zhenbing, we're going to have to come up with some nicknames for these guys. Interesting. This is probably the most interesting part of this whole thing. I mean, the destroyer line in general, I'm very intrigued by, but increase your ship's AP shell ricochet angle by up to 8%. That's the base trait. Okay, what is the scoop here? How does this compare to Dimitri Dewey? This is what I'm trying to figure out. Dimitri Dewey, who I've been a strong advocate for a while on AP focused ships, and I always throw out there you could potentially put them on every single battleship line. I haven't yet converted any of my builds that strongly to that focus on battleships, but cruisers I often use Dimitri Dewey, the Von Essen, for those of you that don't follow the channel a lot. That's what we call them. What's this, basically makes it harder to angle, harder to protect yourself when you got AP fired at you. So how do we compare an 8% increase, which is the max change to the ricochet angle by our new guy here? How does that compare to 4 degrees? Well, how do we measure it? That's my question. I put this question out to a few people. I put it in the community contributor Discord. I'll see if we get any feedback that helps inform my thinking. But basically, you have two options, right? You have a 90-degree range of possibilities. 0 degrees, according to the game, is completely broadside. 90 degrees, completely angled away, and then 45, halfway. 45 is when the ricochets begin. The ricochet chance kicks in at 45 degrees. So if you're 45 degrees or flatter, up to 0 degrees, you have no chance to ricochet those shells. These guys make it so that 45 degrees is increased. Okay, so it'll be 46, 47, 48, 49, or 49 with Dimitri Dewey maxed. How does an 8% compare to that? Well, are we comparing 8% of the full 90-degree range, or just the final 45 degrees where the actual ricochets are happening? I haven't yet figured out mentally how to figure that out. I'm not that good at mathematical philosophy, so I'm still trying to figure that out. You guys let me know in the comments if you have any sort of input. I know it's a little abstract. We'll, of course, do a deeper dive video where I can more properly discuss the topic and illustrate it. But anyway, both these guys have a unique third row skill called the Knuckle Duster. Increase damage to enemy ship engines and rudders by up to 10%. Reduce the detection of your torps by up to 25 meters at the expense of reduced damage, up to 10%. So a huge trade-off in the damage, but making them even harder to dodge. Now, it doesn't say this in the patch notes, but my limited understanding of these Pan-Asian destroyers suggests that the torpedoes are extremely hard to detect. Okay, they have very low detection ranges to begin with, so I think enhancing that's just going to further lean into one of the unique traits of this line. So I'm thinking this line is very unique, and I'm quite intrigued there. The other guy, Deng Shaicheng, increased torpedo damage and destroyer concealment by up to 3% for both. Okay, so I'm not typically a huge fan of commander base traits that do multiple things just a little bit. I'd rather have them do one thing quite a bit, relatively speaking. But I'm sure a lot of you guys could be interested in that one. We'll have to see how the individual builds look when we actually get a look at the commanders. And keep in mind, when we're talking about this third row, this Knuckle Duster, the unique perk for these two commanders, that's also the third slot where we have our twist and track, which I basically run on every single destroyer that possibly has it. Whether that'll change in this instance because we can't torp destroyers, maybe that would have a little bit of an impact, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I still think identifying where the destroyers are is going to be useful, especially when one of the main tools with dealing with other destroyers, torpedoes. My approach to that differs from a lot of the suicide destroyer players out there, but you know what I mean. They're still valuable when we're fighting destroyers, right? So this whole thing looks to be quite unique, and I'm intrigued by that. But the Zhenbing commander stacked with Dimitri Dewey, double AP pen, override of the ricochet angles, and even imagine putting this on Hyde if you got him, the German battleship commander, which already has a similar perk built in as well. I mean, we can have some monster AP builds that are nearly impossible to defend yourself with running around there. I know I'm going to be trying that out heavily and probably just fully adopting it for Germans, Americans, British, any of these, this new Russian cruiser line that we just recently got. All these ones that are really nasty AP kind of devils. You just keep taking away their ability to defend against these attacks, and it's going to be monstrous. So those of you that have been begging for cruisers to get pulled away from the HE spam meta, well, you're getting your wish. You always gotta watch what you wish for with these developers. Now we're coming up with these monster AP builds that will shred you to bits far faster than any one of you guys has ever been burned to death by a little bit of a HE spam, like we see in the background of this game, by the way. So anyway, that's what I'm excited about. I'm digging the destroyer line and that the Bureau projects. Montana, legendary tier. That one's been alluded to for a while. And then there's another mini Bureau project. Now, this is an event-style Bureau project. You always want to activate this. Okay, once the download or once the update hits, go ahead and turn on this Dragon Fleet project is what the name of it is. Just turn it on for 5 seconds, and then if you want to go back to research and whatever you're researching, it's all good. Because these will go away, these little short Bureau projects. There's been 2 or 3 of them previously, and if you hadn't yet put any points into them by the time that they're, the timer on them basically expired, they're gone. Okay, so that's how you got the California, and there was some other ones that had camos or whatever else. So I'll go ahead and activate this one. It says that there'll be a Hall of Commander progression items, and so I'm expecting insignias, commendations, promotion orders, commander chests, all valuable stuff, of course. So just go. I'm gonna, if you got premium accounts, you can do two projects at once as well. So we can do Montana and this new one. If you're like me and your bureau's been sitting idle for the last 6 months or whatever it's been, kind of goofy there. New rank season. Now I think this weekend, isn't there another tier 7 rank season coming up already? Now we got another one, December 9th through 13th, and that's for tier 5. But here's the twist, boys and girls. Aircraft carriers are going to be available, and that's going to completely change the approach to ranked. If you've watched me play ranked, you know that my approach to ranked is basically the destroyer on each team is the center of that universe. All right, it's who supports the destroyer better and who plays the destroyer better equals who wins that game. Now we got something that can permanently spot those destroyers, which is going to add a completely new wrinkle to the approach. So I actually got to think about that. We'll probably check it out. I don't know if that appeals to me massively, but we do need to at least come up with new strategies. I can tell you that. It's going to be a little bit of a different thing there. And then finally, Strasbourg. It says a tier 6 premium battleship of a Dunkirk class. Now, similar approach to the Dunkirk and the Jean Bart. The Jean Bart and the Dunkirk and the Richelieu, for that matter, all have the guns right in the front of the ship. Same thing here. The Jean Bart's very hard to damage when it's sticking its nose at you, and the Dunkirk, you can actually smack it around. So this is probably going to be somewhere in between there in terms of armor schemes. We'll see. I'm interested in checking that one out. Those ships are usually quite a bit of fun. And then finally, the return of the Godzilla versus Kong stuff, and the Arpeggio of Blue Steel collaborations as well. You can, of course, type in Tbull and then look for those things in the search bar. We got full coverage on both of those as well. There's ships on the Kong one as well as the commanders. And then I think the Blue Steel is all commanders, if I remember. So that's it for this one. As always, I do like to get as much feedback from you guys as possible. That'll help me kind of inform my approach to the coverage during this, what you guys are really interested in, what you're not. I read every comment that appears on my channel, but these ones get poured over and studied with great aplomb. So hopefully I get a lot of feedback from you guys there. That'll do it, though. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships, and it is coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I do love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.